Hello, this is Lisa Russick and Misty Lore with the podcast We're All Psychic. And today we have some fantastic guests, and they are very dear to my heart because they do a podcast. But first, we'd like to ask them a question. Misty, I'm going to ask Jennifer. And
okay.
Misty, would you like to ask Jill, and I'll ask Jennifer?
Sure.
All right,
sure.
Jennifer, do you think we're all psychic?
I do think we're all psychic. I think as humans, we are so much more than our physical selves. And we all have that spiritual self. However, in our Western society, it doesn't really value spiritual knowledge. So I think that we are conditioned, most of us, to believe that our psychic knowledge isn't real. But I do think we all have it for sure. So yes, I do.
Awesome. Yes, we are after the conditioning.
Okay. Jill, it's your turn. Jill, do you think that we're all psychic?
Absolutely. And Jen and I often refer to psychic ability in a metaphor for singing, right? So everyone has the ability to sing, but not everyone's Lady Gaga. We're not doing it professionally.
Yes,
but
I like that.
We do it in worship. We do it to pass the time. We do it for fun.
And ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the same way we use our psychic ability. And so Jen and I, in the podcast, we hope to make other people more aware of their psychic ability and how they can use that in different ways in their everyday life.
Yeah, you are in the right place today.
Yes, thank you 100%.
Oh,
it's not like we're making a lot of money off this. We just love it. We love it.
I'm getting paid in soul dollars.
Yeah, there you go.
Brownie points from your mom in soul dollars.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So ladies, how did you get into doing this podcast? You, by the way, what is the name of your podcast for the listeners?
It's Common Mystics.
Common Mystics. Listeners, go check them out. Mm-hmm. So where did you guys start with this? Were you like raised in a family that was pretty typically, you were? So tell me about it.
Well, our childhood was different than most people's because our mother was an astrologer and very into the metaphysical, and our grandmother was a psychic medium. She had prophetic dreams. So we just grew up with the knowledge that all of this is real and it all exists, and it was nurtured. You know, Mom did all of our astrological charts. She took us to Native American healers, shaman. We had Reiki. We were going around Chicagoland seeing the crying Madonnas, so it was all part of our upbringing. And there were always psychics at the house. So much so that a lot of our family friends were psychics.
Fun.
So it was just something that was our entire childhood was steeped in.
I'm jealous. Aren't you, Lisa?
Yeah.
Very jealous.
So when you were younger, was this like in the 80s or the 90s? When was this? The 80s and 90s?
I'm born in 1980 and Jen's 7 years older than me. So
okay, cool.
Right.
So we're right in between you two.
Yeah.
So the two of us are in between your ages. So I just know that that age frame, I didn't know anybody who did this stuff at all. I've watched and read the books and watched TV and stuff like that and wanted to know about it, but a person who does it, could be like a rock star if I met them. So when did your mother kind of point out different gifts you have, or did she help you develop anything like that, or
what was unique? What was unique, and even though we were raised in this way, we didn't have the verbiage. We didn't say grandma was a psychic medium. She wouldn't identify herself, but that's what she did. Right. So Jennifer and I were experiencing different things, but for me, I was always comparing what I was experiencing to how I perceived my grandmother's experiences or my aunt's experiences or even my mom's. So I didn't know that what was happening when I would get images in my head. I didn't realize that was specific to mediumship as opposed to just being psychic, right? So it wasn't until Jen and I met a famous psychic, Kim Russo of The Haunting of fame. And the first thing she said to me was, "You're a medium." And then it clicked, right? And then I was like, that's what I'm doing. And so I called my mom and I was like, "I'm a medium." And my mom, she was like, "Oh, that's what we're calling it." I was like, sure.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, my mom was a lot like your mom, but she she was still struggling to find her abilities as well. So she believed it. And we would always research and read books about it. And we were interested in it, but neither one of us knew really what we were doing.
Yeah.
But we tried,
That's how you find out a lot of the time.
Right,
It's just not knowing and it happening, or trying different things and something.
So now we've got like 3 different moms, different ways.
I think another interesting thing too about our childhood is even though we grew up in the same house, being 7 years older than Jill, we had different experiences.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So you might have taught your sister a lot too, I guess, right?
Well, not really, because I don't know if this is typical of people who identify as psychic, but we grew up with a lot of chaos. It was a broken home. We had a single mother, right? She was trying to make ends meet. So I was the oldest and I had to be responsible and rational.
Hey.
And so all right. Hi, Misty.
Hello.
Thank you. Can I get an amen? So I personally was trying to get away from the craziness of my household, right?
Yes.
I wanted to escape this, crazy, chaotic environment. And I went like straight, I went to school. I was like, I'm getting out. You know what I mean? Like I turned off that part of myself. Whereas Jill, the youngest, she was different from Jill. You were different from the start. Jill really did. She was using her spiritual gifts from the very beginning as a little girl. She had imaginary friends. She just had this kind of sense about her that things really suck, but it's going to be okay. And she just had this knowing. She was always so positive, even though she, was
I would say this. Jennifer
like a street urchin. Jennifer like running around the streets.
That's a true statement. That's a true statement. Jennifer taught me life skills. Like I would not be a functional human being if I did not had Jennifer's influence. But it's true. And I needed balance. I couldn't be on the woo woo feel good. There had to be some practicality. And that's really what Jennifer brought to me. Like, you don't understand this yet. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And she helped me navigate life skills, like real physical life skills.
Kind of integrating all that stuff, I bet too. That's really cool. Yeah. Like
that was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask, like if your abilities were different, but you guys are on it. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, so I would love to know, like, what kind of stuff you teach on your podcast and what your podcast. I've listened, but listeners maybe they haven't. So, what kind of stuff do you do? What do you offer your listeners?
So what Jen and I do is really, we created a podcast that not only is what we do for fun, but a podcast that we would want to listen to. Yeah. So for fun, honestly, for all our lives, well, since we were able to drive, we would get in the car and we would just be like, okay, spirits, take us to a story, lead us so that we can use our psychic ability. And we would use each other to validate the hits we were getting.
Wow.
And there was this one time during the pandemic in 2019 where we were in a town in Illinois called Seneca.
It was right before the pandemic hit.
Okay. Jen, tell what happened in Seneca and how this became our podcast.
So we were doing what we do. We get in the car, trying to, feel out our spideys and ask the spirits to lead us to, a cool place. And we ended up in Seneca, Illinois, which is, I don't know, a couple hours from where I live. And it just felt so bizarre. Like we were getting information about a lot of premature deaths and tragedy after tragedy. And so we stumbled upon a church, Jill, right?
Right.
A church that had a little grotto that memorialized a tragedy that happened. There was a massacre of some missionaries by indigenous peoples who lived there at the time. And then we found a cemetery, and the cemetery just had the strangest vibe, the strangest energy that Jill and I were like, okay, wait a minute. We need to start researching this right now. So we got out our phones and we were able to put together what we were feeling with actual research online in the moment. And it occurred to us, this is a podcast. We go around and we use our psychic abilities to find stories that we don't know about. And then we tell the stories
and you
as they unfolded in
and you
history.
include the psychic side to it.
Exactly. So it's
I don't
both.
know about you, Misty, but I kind of want an example. An example story.
No.
You got an example? Like of something like that you've done?
We have about 40 examples.
Yeah. I want to hear it right now.
I think the best one is the first one that we did, Nashville, Michigan, because Jen was my navigator because it's near where I live. And she was really experimenting with her own ability and really relying on our people on the other side to guide her and to guide us into a story. Yeah. Jen, tell us a little bit about our Nashville story. I like when she tells stories. Sorry.
She always does this. She's like, Jen, you tell
She introduces it.
Yeah.
And then she'll cut me off.
See, they understand.
And then she'll cut me off when, anyway.
That's what sisters do.
We were driving around in Michigan, and the funny thing was we kind of wanted a haunted house. We asked the spirits, we every time we start, we do an intention, and we ask the spirits to lead us to a story that we didn't know already. And Jill specifically wanted to find a haunted house. Well, we're driving
Who doesn't
around.
love a haunted house?
Who doesn't love a haunted house? There are probably people out there who don't, but they're probably not listeners. So
secretly they do, though. They watch the movies about haunted houses.
Yeah, they do.
They like it.
So we're driving around. We get to this little town of Nashville, Michigan, and we stop at a library. And the library, as it turns out, happened to be the house of the Putnam family, Jill?
Putnam family.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh,
and it was purported to be haunted, believe it or not. We round up at the library, which was a haunted house. Well, long story short, we had some experiences that were pulling us to a story there. And we found that back when the Putnams were alive, they had a maid who had a relationship with someone related to the family, died under mysterious circumstances, and her death was covered up in the media. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we told her story. Her name was Gertrude. We called her Gertie, and she stayed with us. And we were so moved that we were able to give her a voice, that she inspired the rest of the podcast, because from then on, we always asked the spirits to lead us to a story previously unknown to us, but that also gives voice to the voiceless.
Yeah. And it does. Yeah, I love that, because, I have heard of Putnams, and because I love to read about all that kind of stuff too, but I didn't know anything about a maid. So you're right. That did give her a voice. That's amazing. I love that.
She's been our patron spirit ever since then.
That's cool.
That's true.
So cool.
I still get goosebumps when I think about her. I really do. Because she's such a strong spirit.
With her, do you see her? How do you tell the listeners how you experience mediumship? Because everybody kind of does differently. So what is your experience with mediumship? How do you do you see them in your mind's eye, or with your eyeballs, or do you feel them?
So honestly, it's kind of like asking, how do you experience pizza, right? You have
eat it all.
These different very quickly.
Very easy to describe.
But there are so many different ways. So when I was a kid, I realized that I was experiencing, just feeling the energy and knowing that they were there and communicating that way. And then as I grew up, I would get things in my mind's eye, right? It's almost like a screen in the back of my head that is used, that spirit can utilize my senses to fill that space with an image. Then I get feelings of media references, like Kathy Bates in Misery, or things like that that will give me that feeling of something that I understand that the spirits are trying to use my Girl reference to communicate something really complex. Right. Or I can hear them, literally hear them, as if there's clairaudience right next to me. Or clairaudience could be if there's a song stuck in your head. That's clairaudience too, you know?
So when you hear them, is it like a real voice, or is it in your head? Like the clairaudience, both? Okay, that's how I am. Like I don't really hear it, but every once in a while I'll hear someone calling my name or something, like a real voice, but it's usually just like in there. Yeah, it's just kind of
Yeah.
that's really cool.
You know, when you can hear it outside of yourself, then I know like this is serious. I need to pay attention. Right.
Yeah. Good point.
It's like a smack in the face.
Or I have taken the wrong pill this morning. Now, Missy, I know you're dying to ask some questions.
Yeah.
I can tell your eyes are like, raw.
Yes. Okay. So I think that's so cool. I always wanted a sister, but I guess Lisa's as close as I get. But you two, I bet, work so good together because you are sisters. Can you tell me about like your mother and your grandmother and how they saw things as you were growing up as well? Like, how did your grandmother see things, and how did your mother see things, and Jennifer, tell me how you see things.
So grandma would have dreams, and that would come to life. Grandma was very religious. She was very, very Catholic. She was the kind of person who, when she had the means, went to church every day. Grandma prayed for hours every morning and every night. And you would be sitting in grandma's kitchen and she would suddenly look and then get up from the table and say she had to go pray for a spirit who just walked into the room that you couldn't see, but someone came for help. So she was always praying for spirits. She could see them. She would tell us stories about spirits who came to her. And some of them were scary. Like she believed and experienced an evil spirit come to her to intimidate her into stopping some of the work that she was doing.
Yeah, right.
And as a child, that's terrifying, you know.
When we were terrified.
We were. So when the devil comes into your
tell
the story.
Yeah, tell me that story.
Okay. So like I said, grandma used to go to church every day. And one night she was in her bed, she was praying, and a man walked into her bedroom. And again, grandma saw dead people all the time. So if a stranger walked into her bedroom, it was just like, oh, it's another spirit who needs my prayers, right? Yeah. And the man sat on the edge of her bed, and he had a hat on, and he was dressed very nicely. Grandma would tell the story that he was in a suit, and he was very handsome, and he had like a little bit of chin hair, right? Mm-hmm. And a hat. And so he said to her, "I told you not to go there." And she was like taken aback, not because there was a stranger in her bedroom, but because of his tone. He was mean and angry and accusatory. And so she said, "I don't know you, and I don't know what you're talking about." And he said, "I told you not to go there." And it got more and more, like the energy was stronger and more evil. And when he took off his hat, then she could see two horns. So it was the devil or a demon. She called it the devil. Right. And then she realized what he was talking about was her going to church. Like he had told her not to go to church. And what she did was she said to herself, she called upon the Blessed Mother, Jesus's mother. She called the Blessed Mother. She said, "Blessed Mother, come and step on his head." And then he was gone. Grandma was Polish. Grandma was Polish and didn't have much English, but she could tell that story, and he vanished. So.
Oh, wow. That's a good story. Okay, now continue about
inappropriate to tell your grandchildren, who I think I was like 5. I was like, I'm not sleeping alone.
I know. It was terrifying. Do you want to talk about Mom, Jill? A little bit about what Mom used to do?
Mom was very special. She had the doubting Thomas mentality. As a matter of fact, Mom was called Doubting Thomas by our grandmother. She often found herself in moments where she was surrendering to spirit, being like, "I cannot do this by myself. I need you." And she really used that surrender to bring in her helpers in that way. So there have been times where, Jen came home from school. I love this story where mom was doing an earth magic spell to get someone out of her life. She was constantly laying on the rec room floor with books spread out, like fanned in front of her so that she could by hand get someone's natal chart done and then progressions. Wow. She was just a very special. The thing is about with all this aside, just their presence, when you were in our grandmother's presence, you felt like there was a reverence to that, that you felt like you were in
felt
church.
The spirit. You felt the spirit.
So cool.
When you were around our mom, individually, everyone felt special and connected to her. It was a real gift that she had. So even without like talking about this woo-woo stuff, just who they were and the energy they invoked was just love and kindness.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. It's true.
And Misty,
it seems like a lot of the people who work with energy and are good at it and help people, they have that energy that other people are attracted to and want to be around them and learn from them. Although some people get taken advantage of because of that, which I'm assuming all of us have been. Yeah. That's why we, learn to make boundaries.
Yeah.
So.
Misty, you asked Jen and I that we work together because we're sisters. Well, and I just want to address that. Yeah. I love my sister. I think Jennifer is perfect in every way. I really honestly do. No, I'm serious. But it's work. It's work.
Wait for that butt.
We work on our relationship. It's not like when you're doing psychic work, it's vulnerable. And so we have to trust one another. Yes. And so it is a relationship that we constantly work on. And people say to me all the time, like, oh, you're so lucky. We weren't naturally like this. We made the choice to work through our traumas to get to a point. And I think we didn't even have that awareness until after our mom was beginning to transition out of this world. And we realized that we were not only able to work well together, but there's some things we have to do together because the mission is greater than either of us.
Oh gosh, talk about twin souls. I'm telling you, you guys got it.
What helps is that we really focus on the voiceless for our podcast. The fact that Gertie, that spirit, brought that into focus for us was pivotal because I got to tell you, we are our sisters and we are competitive with each other, right? And so it's so easy to fall into who's getting more hits, like what's our story, who's who's more psychic or whatever. But we don't have any of that because it's not about us. It's about the voiceless.
Yes.
And that changed everything.
That's how manlies are too. There's no competition,
Yeah, Jill and Jennifer. So you're giving a voice to the voiceless. I love that so much. There's probably listeners to this show who wouldn't come out of the closet in any way, about what they were experiencing. I would guess I would have been one of them in my 20s, probably. If there were podcasts and this, I wouldn't tell anyone I listened to this. So maybe those voiceless people who are feeling voiceless anyway, and they want to work with their energy or they want to work with their psychic side and they're starting out, they're listening to podcasts, they're learning, but they're still unheard and they still feel insignificant. What kind of advice might you give them?
Wow, I love that question.
I do love that question. First, I want to say that it's twofold. One, you don't have to, as a person, just in general, tell everything about yourself to people. You don't have to walk up to someone and say, I identify as psychic and it's none of their business. Just like if I were to say, I like drinking margaritas, no one cares.
I care. I like drinking margaritas. I think I'll have a margarita.
You can be who you are and not, I feel like so many people want to say, I'm psychic and like yell it and scream it and skip it. It's not a thing. Just be you. And just by you being you, people will understand that you may be different or special, or you may have insight into things that other people might not. Right. So that's one. And then two, Jen and I, we're really thoughtful about creating a structure for which we think people could access these abilities. And I have some notes on it. Jen, are you prepared to talk about that a little bit?
Tell me more about, I'm not sure what you're referencing.
The awareness, our 5 steps.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not prepared to talk about that because I don't feel like it's fully fleshed out. But I think, one of the things that we really do want to do is make this accessible to the everyday person who might not identify as psychic, right? To, take something like spell work and make it really sort of everyday. If you don't need the eye of Newt. If you just have like a quiet moment by yourself in the tub to envision the light of heaven refreshing yourself, that's spell work. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, let's take the woo woo right out of it.
Yeah. Give you a good parking space. That's what I say.
All the time. I cheat in games all the time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. It's like I have that attitude. I'm going to beat you and there's nothing else about it. That's it.
Right. So we try to make it real and everyday.
And also with the people who are voiceless or don't feel like they can speak, that's really why I feel like they may feel voiceless. I feel like that they need some kind of validation too, but they don't talk about it. So they don't get that validation from anywhere but themselves and, whatever else might be out there giving it to them. Yeah. So, let's picture some person in a closet, a woman in a closet. She's about 30 and she's listening to your podcast and then she listens to our podcast. And she's like, but how do I know? I mean, of course, for me, it's just I don't, it's just continuously kind of working on it. So that's what I would say to that person. But I think for that person in the closet, you guys would have a different message. The person who hasn't, just doesn't have the confidence and doesn't know for sure. It doesn't feel validated, doesn't feel confident at all that they're right when they are, Like,
I honestly want to say that this work is very vulnerable. So just being aware that this is something that's possible and being aware that it's something that you want to develop that's step number 1, right?
Yeah.
Step number 2 is calling it to you, saying, I want this. And then once you're saying, I want it, be open to receiving it. Yeah. So many times we say, I want this, but then we don't go get it. Like it's you can't enjoy your Amazon Prime packages if you're not opening the door and bringing them inside. Yeah. So that's step 2.
That's the advice I give women when I give readings. Go after that dude. Don't wait for him to text you unless you have a reason other than I want him to.
We sit down and we're like, please God, or please whomever, Lord and Spirit, I need this. But then it's like, you have this love. All it is bringing it in, right? Yeah. People aren't aware of that. They want something to come crashing in and saving them like Prince Charming. Right. It's like, no, you just have to open the door.
Yeah.
And some people don't really know why they might want to explore their psychic skills or abilities or any kind of magic. Some people might start with the hopefully get a job or maybe, get that guy to text you, stuff like that. But I feel like, we talk about this on our podcast. Like we think everyone's born this way and everyone's all psychic. So when most people start pursuing it, from my perspective, if it's not just, in their face from whenever they were started to, like for me, it was just, but people who pursue it, some people do it to enlighten their spirit and have a happier life. But some people do it, they start out to get something for themselves, and I think once you take that attitude out to get something for yourself, other than self-love and, happiness, because that's like kind of, for me, that's the point.
Yeah.
But, I think a lot of people who start out wanting to catch that guy or, make
your life better,
win the lottery, they even if they start that way, though, I think they end up going into the spiritual way that it'll just kind of like
guide them
in that way,
Yeah, because you know what? In the end, it's more fun to help somebody else than
it really is. It really is. Yeah. And you feel better. I do anyway. Yeah.
Also, my dreams and my wishes for myself, when I look back and reflect on my life, they were so small compared to what the work that we're doing now. And I think that 2 things, to be honest, I never get what I want, but I always get what I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The spirit part comes in. You start going, I gotta think
and
about
it
this.
wasn't until that I was older, because when I wanted something, Jen can testify, I was like hell bent, like I'm not giving up on this, and it's those things that didn't work out that really was like something better was coming.
Right. It wasn't supposed to. Yeah, I wish more people would understand that. It's like you're talking about that guy that you're waiting that you want to text you. Well, maybe that guy is just not the right one for you. Maybe he's not going to be good to you. Maybe he's going to cheat on you. You just don't know. So that's when you have to trust spirit as well.
Absolutely.
I think what a lot of people don't understand when they go into this sort of world looking to get something, like whatever it may be, that guy, the money, the job, I think that they don't understand that it is a psychic work is inner work. It's work on yourself, right? And Jill said the word vulnerable a couple of times. Not only is it vulnerable, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to look inside yourself and really see, you know what I mean? And it's uncomfortable and it's a process, right? So you can take something like the tarot is a great analogy for this. Tarot, the cards, they're used for divination, and you can turn over a card and try to get a glimpse at what's coming, right? But if you go deeper, the tarot it tells a story of the soul. It's the soul's journey from beginning to end. And if you look at it that way, using it as a tool to look inside at where you are on your own soul's journey, that's where the power is. You have to get rid of that surface level, I want, I need, and really go deep and ask yourself, do I?
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Why do I want this?
Yeah.
Or why am I here? What am I supposed to learn from this?
Yeah, that's my big question. Yeah. What do I need to do on this earth?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or even in any situation, it's when I'm in a bad situation, whether it be in my professional life at work or in a relationship, and this is just recent. This is not something that I was aware of in my 20s or even my 30s, but I've come to a space where I'm like, okay, this is obviously a point of friction with my soul and my being. What am I supposed to learn from this?
Yes.
And it's always deeper.
Yes.
Right.
Let me learn it. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't want to do this again.
Exactly.
I always say that. Get it right the first time so I don't have to do it again.
And then some days I'm like, Lord, I don't want to learn anything today. Like,
Big break. No such thing. Yeah.
So where can listeners find your podcast, or do you have a website? Where can they check you out if they haven't already?
Well, you can check us out at commonmystics.net. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Common Mystics Pod. Find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to your favorite pods.
Okay, I'll put your link in the description of the podcast and to your podcast and stuff.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
I feel like I can talk to you two forever. I
feel like I can talk to you guys forever.
Or a margarita.
We should do this again. We'll do this with margaritas. We'll do a nighttime podcast with margaritas. That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, because I'm still kind of waking up. I get up early, but it just takes a while for things to start.
Well, you are under the weather still, so you get better. And then for real, we'll have wine and we'll just
margaritas.
Talk.
Wine and margaritas.
Do y'all live close together?
Jen's in Chicagoland. I'm in Southwest Michigan, but she's about 3 hours from me.
Well, y'all plan to get together, and then me and Lisa will get together, and then we'll make it a party.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be fun.
And maybe we'll end up in Alabama on our, we just went through Mississippi and North Carolina. Oh, we went, our trip in November, we went down from Jen's house to New Orleans and then back up through Mississippi. And then our spring trip that we're working on for season 3, we went from, we just drove in a circle around the southeast part of this country.
North Carolina, West Virginia.
Yeah, we could do like an panel or something like that.
All right, we're going to make it happen.
We're gonna make it
we
happen.
just want dinner. We want dinner and drinks.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Maybe we shouldn't record. We don't want evidence.
That's what I was thinking about, like video. Maybe not video.
Maybe not video.
Like makeup smears.
Yeah.
And I also think,
listeners, yes, if we are a psychic, we do drink. It does happen. We never go over the top though, ever. If you're a psychic, you never get drunk.
Never.
You heard it here
Just the
first.
days that end with Y for me.
Right.
All right. Well, I am very excited about this party we have planned. And so thank you so much for being here. And I'm really, really grateful y'all came. Misty, thank you as always.
Lisa, thank you. Girls, thank you.
Thank
you guys.
Thank
you for having us.
Listeners, we love you. And I'd also like to thank my sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app where you get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And again, listeners, we love you so much. Check their podcast out. You've got to, Mr. And everybody, have a great day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.